Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be giving my full review of the BMD-4, a light amphibious Russian tank that happens to be the top tier ground reward for the summer landing event in 2021. I'll be going over its stats, its role in-game, strengths and weaknesses of the BMD-4, and then give you my final recommendation on if it's worth it to own it or not. This said, please subscribe if you like more content because trust me, I make a lot of content, at least insofar as people who make guides, reviews, gameplays, run giveaways, and do other miscellaneous content for War Thunder and possibly other games are concerned. But that being said, enough with the intro, let's get into the video. So let's start off with stats, and to start as a 24.5 to 35 degree per second turret traverse depending on crew skill, a 1 to 1.3 second long reload for the 30mm autocannon, again depending on crew skill, a 4-second reload give or take for the auto-loaded ATGM. It features a 70 km/h top speed in RB, -6 degrees to +60 degrees of vertical guidance for its cannons, 32, 23, and 15mm of armor for the hull when you consider the front, sides, and rear, and for the turret, 20mm, 20mm, and 12mm of armor, again front, sides, and rear. Now for the cannons, for the 30mm autocannon has a max of 82mm of armor pen when considering the APDS shells and a rate of fire of 330 rounds per minute. For the 100mm cannon, it fires ATGMs and HE shells. The ATGMs have a max pen of 750mm. Now with this bad boy's stats out of the way, let's get into its roles, and the BMD-4 is pretty much a slightly better version of the BMP-3 as they both share the same cannons, shell types, vertical guidance, pretty similar when it comes to turret traverse, speed is about the same, etc. The BMD-4 does however feature much better optics and I believe better thermals as well. The BMD-4 is also over 5 tons lighter than the BMP-3, which makes it substantially quicker, meaning better acceleration, albeit at the cost of armor. It features the same exact cannon setup, with the 30mm and 100mm cannons basically being linked to one another via a steel connector. This said, being that they play very similarly, the BMD-4 is basically going to be a scout slash flanker, as the 30mm autocannon can tear people up from the side, which you'll be doing a ton of if you're flanking, with the 100mm cannon destroying all the heavier targets, or the targets that need to die slightly quicker if they're closer to you, or if you want, shoot them from a long range and it will knock them out regardless of how far they are because it's a pretty quick ATGM. Ultimately, this is a hunter-killer light tank if there ever was one in War Thunder, and essentially has armament capable of destroying vehicles all the way up to 11.0 BR, if you're in the right area. For tactics, flank out to the sides of the map, whether it's in the forest, along the outskirts of cities, along the borders of desert maps, whatever. If you make it so that you're more likely to appear alongside or behind your enemies, you will tear them up, and that is the key to success with the BMD-4. Stay vigilant of air threats too. Additionally, if you play AB, just throw this tank around. It's like bringing a Volkswagen GTI to a track. It's small, quick, and loads of fun. I'd say to still flank an AB, but try to do pincer moves if possible, as this will allow you to cut off the enemy, whereas RB you should probably focus more so on keeping hidden. Either way, flank and spank is the name of the game with the BMD-4. And now for this vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, and trust me, there are a ton of strengths. For number 1, has an incredibly powerful and diverse armament, when considering the fact that it has a 30mm autocannon that fires decently penning APDS shells and a 100mm ATGM/HE launching cannon. Reload speed is among the best in the game for this tank, for both the autocannon and the 100mm main cannon. The ATGMs at present all reload in about 4 seconds from the start to the end of your ammunition, so there's no piecing together first and second stage ammunition, it just goes. Secondly, awesome speed. Playing an RB feels like you're playing an AB, and playing an AB feels like you're playing Need for Speed. This thing has a great engine and it hardly weighs anything. It's awesome off-road. It is a ton of fun to just take off of jumps. Third, the 30mm cannon, and for that matter the 100mm cannon, both have very high elevation angles, meaning that they can be effective versus aircraft. Fourth, great VR placement, being at 8.7 in RB and 8.3 in AB. I could definitely see this being from 8.7 to 9.0 in RB and also 8.3 to 8.7 in AB fairly soon, but I'm not entirely sure because the BMP-3, which is very similar to this, also sits at 8.7 in RB, so who knows. This also has thermals and night vision, which are amazing. I believe it's 2nd gen thermals. 6th, though it's not a major advantage in War Thunder, the BMD-4 is amphibious, meaning you will not drown in this tank unless you somehow mess up that bad. 7th, it is a small tank, so it's got a small profile, great turret traverse, great handling, and fast firing weaponry, which makes it one of War Thunder's premier flanking vehicles. Plus, because it's a light tank, you can also scout with it. Also, the stabilizer in both cannons helps tremendously for hit and run tactics. Additionally, it has smoke grenades, laser rangefinder, and an adjustable hydropneumatic suspension, which means that 6-degree depression can actually go a little bit lower if you use the suspension correctly. Also, that can help you get into a hold down position a little bit better as well. Now for weaknesses, they're kind of obvious. It has very little armor. It can rarely stop HMGs, having special difficulty against 50 cals. Even worse are tank-mounted autocannons, SPAA, and strafing aircraft. They will be your biggest enemies when using the BMD-4. For its second weakness, it can only carry 4 tandem charge ATGMs. While the 9M117 ATGMs are plenty good, the tandem charge 9M117M1 ATGMs are the real giant killers, as they can one-shot many of the best tanks in-game, including the Leopard 2A6 from the front. Third, the 100mm cannon only fires ATGMs and HE. The HE ammunition is decent and features very strong explosive mass plus decent armor pen, but they both have very low cannon velocity, sitting at between 250 and 355 meters per second, depending on the shell that you use. The 30mm cannon is good versus lightly armored vehicles from the side, but outside of ATGMs, you don't really have too many options versus tanks from the front. While it is very powerful and the whole of the BMD-4 still has extremely versatile weapons, it lacks APF SDS or even Heat FS that can be a sore point for many people. Though again, like I said, the ATGMs are still plenty potent. Sometimes though, it does help to have that direct fire capability via APF SDS or again, Heat FS. Additionally, it is a very high cost for a vehicle that does not have premium bonuses, although this can be partially remedied by purchasing an expensive talisman. Now for my fifth weakness, overheating the 30mm autocannon is not particularly difficult, as around 50 shells, and that's with being careful, tends to put you at about your limit before you need to lay off your cannon for a few seconds. Also finally, it only has 3 crew members, meaning that crew kills are very common against the BMD-4. Now for my final recommendation, in truth, the BMD-4 is far from the boring tank that I thought it would be when it was first announced for Summer Landing. This vehicle can do it all and is an incredibly destructive and fun vehicle. While it's not a premium, which puts it at somewhat of an economic disadvantage versus the likes of the WMA-301 or the TAM-2IP, both of which I have reviews, linked below in the description and possibly in a comment if I remember, it is arguably the best of those vehicles, the BMD-4 I mean to say, as it features 2 devastating armaments and can act as both a tank destroyer and a scout, all while receiving the benefits of being a light tank. For me personally, it has immediately become, along with the Kachi, one of the most fun ground vehicles in all of War Thunder, especially in AB. Because of its speed, point and kill capabilities, and type of gameplay, I have to say that this is an excellent vehicle to get used to high BR light tanks with, especially if you want to get into the Russian tech tree. While you will die if someone sneezes on you, you will almost always be able to take out enemies before they do the same to you. Though this is not quite as good of a grinder as, for example, the S1, the Buccaneer S1 is, being that the S1 is the top tier reward for Summer Landing for the British, the BMD-4 is exponentially more fun and more capable for a ground vehicle as opposed to the S1 in the air. As such, I fully recommend the BMD-4 and would set a maximum price to purchase at between $50 and $60 USD. Though definitely look around at other tanks if you're looking for an RP grinder and Silver Lion earner. If that's the case, the T55 AM1 is a great alternative, or if you have the money, a great vehicle to add to your BMD-4 lineup. The T72 Terms and WMA 301 are also great alternatives as well, as the Terms and T55 AM1 have built-in premium time and Golden Eagles for a flat rate of $60 USD, while the WMA plays similarly to the BMD-4, except it's on the Chinese tech tree and it costs around 9,000 Golden Eagles, or give or take right now around $45 USD. So it's not all that bad. It's probably going to be a little bit less expensive than the BMD-4, but either way, all great vehicles, and the BMD-4 is a ton of fun. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and especially subscribe if you'd like more War Thunder content and possibly content for other games in the future. Either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.